Hi, my name's Rob Ryder, speaking out of West Cornwall in England, and I'm just going to read a very short chapter on the book here, Debt Slavery, The Economics of a Banking Mafia. So at the moment, there's a lot of people talking about solutions to the financial problems we're having. Now, you'd have to relate to the other videos, short videos I've done. I don't want to go back on that. I've mentioned why Bitcoin isn't a solution. Um, I've mentioned the dangers of central bank digital currency. At the moment, I'm just going to do a very short chapter on why gold isn't a solution, a gold-backed currency. A lot of people are saying, listen, it's real money. It's even God's currency. I'm wondering what God that is actually, by the way. Something very mysterious surrounding gold and the history of humanity. So I'm not sure what God they're talking about when they say this is God's money. They say it's real money. It's proper money. Well, let's see. Money with intrinsic value. Many economists, it seems, believe that a currency should have intrinsic value. Many go for a gold-backed currency, the gold standard or silver. The gold standard is a monetary system where a country's currency or paper money has a value directly linked to gold. With the gold standard, countries agreed to convert paper money into a fixed amount of gold. A country that uses the gold standard sets a fixed price for gold and buys and sells gold at that price. Here we will use the term currency as money created by the nation and money is created by the banks. There is a great documentary on YouTube called The Secret of Oz by Bill Still, where he goes into the history of currency and shows evidence that a gold or even silver-backed currency has never worked. He, like me, does not believe the currency itself needs intrinsic value. Currency is needed just to facilitate an exchange when no direct form of bartering is possible. All it needs is to be given a value and accepted by society as legal tender. This agreed value and the knowledge that it can be used to pay off all debts in society and buy products in society is all the value it actually needs. Value in the end is just a belief system, but when we have an agreed legal belief put on it, then we can all go about our business knowing that the currency will be accepted, intrinsic value or not. And anyway, what real value does gold have apart from looking nice? Even that is an opinion, a belief. The other issue is if we are creating a currency based on our gold reserves, then that will mean our economy is limited by the amount of gold we have. This, we are told, is what will control the amount of currency in circulation and bring stability and stop inflation. Again, this is nonsensical thinking. The amount of currency in circulation has nothing to do with inflation or deflation. It's all about the amount of currency in relation to productivity. This is what needs to be stable to avoid inflation or deflation. As long as currency represents the amount of productivity, then we will have a stable economy and we can all plan ahead for a life of security. This, of course, depends on economists working and representing the public, and not the corporate and banking elite. For this to happen, we need to hold to account our public servants, again, not leaders, and make sure they have no conflicts of interest. Another point is, does this mean that if a country has no gold, then it cannot have a valued currency? Does this mean there will be nations going to war to obtain gold? Will gold-rich nations be invaded by big corporations with their right to buy because of free trade agreements? Whoever then controls the gold will control the currency and hence control the economy. This is way too much power for one person or organization. Intrinsic value is just a belief that something has value and not an absolute fact. You could say an oil-backed currency has intrinsic value as oil is used for pretty much every part of our economy around the world. So having rich oil reserves could bring wealth as it gives you plenty of power when you want to trade. Most countries, though, will have some form of wealth, some resource they can use, and even in excess for trading. Cuba, for example, have always relied heavily on sugar production, so it can be used as a trading resource, giving them the ability to trade with other countries for things they struggle to produce themselves. Some countries may have mineral reserves or great soil for agriculture. All countries will have something. It's just a question of making the most of what you have. If a country has massive oil reserves and this gives them the opportunity to trade and bring great wealth to their country, then great for them. There is no economic race the general public are interested in. Only governments talk about the global race and being ahead. Most people just want to make the most out of what they have, then just get on with enjoying life. If this means that one country has more material things than another, then so what? The drive to bring about equality is just as destructive, if not more, than the drive to be the best. Also, another issue is if countries create their currency out of a precious metal or backed by something by a precious metal, what will new money credit be backed from by the banks? We need free enterprise, and free enterprise needs credit. We don't want the government to have total control of currency and creation of credit, especially credit that will be limited by the amount of gold the nation has. Free enterprise needs credit backed by the productive ideas of the person asking for the credit. This is what will give its value. What people, and it seems economists, have forgotten is that the true wealth of any nation are the people themselves, their imagination, the resources, and what they do with them. This is the real intrinsic value. So that's not, quite a short chapter on why gold is not going to get us out of this mess. If you watch the documentary, I'll put the link below, of The Secret of Oz by Bill Still, which is, he believes the symbolism within the original book, not necessarily the film, but the original book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And it's about a time in American history where there was a century before really the Federal Reserve Act came in. There was a century of people trying to free the American people from the banksters, from the European banksters. And people like Lincoln and Andrew Jackson paid the price for trying to bring in national free money owned by the people, for the people. Historically, you'll see the biggest threat to the elite banking system is money backed by the wealth of the nation and the people. There are some examples of Guernsey, Nazi Germany, Abraham Lincoln. We can go back to America, that was pushing this form of money forward because they knew the real value was in the people and the economy. Another issue people say is, we need to control the economy because of the environment. It'll destroy the environment if the economy is out of control and unlimited. So that's nonsense as well, because the reason the economy is out of control and mass consumerism and destruction of the environment, which I have seen personally in the Amazon in South America, is because it's a debt-based monetary system. So people have to produce nonsense to get it into landfill as quick as possible just to pay off the debt so they can keep the system going. When you have debt-free money, that weight on people's shoulders won't be there. That means we can afford to produce quality goods that are going to last. That means if there's no debt in the economy, we'll only produce what we actually need. And there'll be a natural diversity in people. People will want to thrive and have material goods. Many people, like in Cornwall, would rather do a day's work and head to the beach rather than make extra. And there'll be people who will be, not really interested in the material things. So an unlimited economy that isn't backed by debt will be better for the environment. By far, by far. It'll be more environmentally friendly. So there's no reason for people to be talking about, a gold-backed currency, you're swapping an illusion with a delusion. It's all nonsensical thinking. Gold historically has always sucked the wealth into the elite because it's a commodity that can be controlled. Yeah, the economists look at history and say, well, look, it brought about stability. You can manipulate stability just as much as you can manipulate a crash and problems. So the elite have manipulated problems to bring in their gold-backed currency. That, oh, it brings stability. Yeah, but only initially, because then they manipulate to suck all the wealth up to them, because they can control the quantity of money in circulation. The quantity of money will dictate to the economy what can and can't be done. So you control the people again. You can control the good times and suck in the wealth in the bad times. Yeah. This is what's historically been done. And the gold-backed currency is a cult. It's an ideology. It's almost, you could say, a religious cult by so-called alleged clever economists whose whole economic ideas are stuck within the paradigm of the economics of a banking mafia. Yeah, they're economists. They're looking at financial systems. A true just system, which is in this book, will destroy all the economics of a banking mafia completely. We don't have to worry about understanding and learning all the complexities of their system because it's nonsense. It's utter nonsense, and it's built on fraud, and it's built on gambling, and it's being built on theft. We don't need to understand it. And a gold-backed system is people with their minds in this economic nightmare, and people who have lost sight of what actual real wealth is, which is the people, the resources, their imagination, and their willingness to manifest things. That's the only wealth, and that's all currency needs to be. Yeah? Enough of the gold-backed currency. Keep things simple. They will probably, I believe, try and sell central bank digital currency on the same line that I'm trying to sell now and create awareness of debt-free government money. I hate that word government, remember, we need to replace that word because nobody should be governed. But the public body, the servants out of the treasury, should be able to create their own debt-free money based on their economic production. Now, as the system's crashing, I believe they'll try to sell central bank digital currency as that. As we know, the issues with that is going to be totally controlled, completely controlled. So people have to be aware of what's being sold to them and how. There's an organization called Positive Money that have been around for maybe, I think I've seen them around for about 12 years, maybe least. Now, they have got connections with the Bank of International Settlements. I knew something was wrong with them a decade ago when you just look at people's funding, when it's an organization, look at the funding, it was the Roundtree Foundation. So you need to look at the funding there, allegedly exposing the banking system. Yeah. Now, when people are coming out and they're seemingly exposing things, have to look what solution are they trying to sell you. Yeah. We know Russell Brand is the Pied Piper. Yeah. They whistle a happily tune, selling, exposing lies, but they're going to drown you with their solution in the river. Positive Money are going to do the same. They've got links with the Bank of International Settlements, the mother of all central banks. I believe they're going to start pushing central bank digital currency as this debt-free people's currency, where it's a currency created to control people. They may take interest and debt out of the equation, which is part of what I'm saying. But my solution I'm selling is to free us so the money becomes controlled by the people, to free the people. This central bank digital currency will be to control the people, but they have to sell it. And I believe you're going to hear some kind of rhetoric coming out as it's the people's currency. They may say, get rid of interest. This is the social credit system in China, what people are talking about. You don't need interest rates. You don't need money based on debt. It's a credit system that they control, because ultimately it's all about control, this whole system. These people know the illusionary nature of money and currency. They understand it. It's all about control. They know the worthlessness of $100 million. It's what can that $100 million do for you? What does it represent? They want to do it to control. What I'm saying is we can use the same principle to free ourselves. Be very, very careful of positive money, this organization. They're whistling a great tune like Russell Brand, but they're going to lead you into the river to drown you, because I believe they're going to push central bank digital currency. Be very, very careful. It's time for people to be really astute and think really clear. Where is the solution leading you? That's the question. The solution I'm giving leads to freedom. The only thing is necessary is we have to hold our public servants to account on a regular basis of where the money is being produced and where it's going, which we should be doing anyway. That system will free us. That system will enslave them. Gold is an illusion and a delusion. It's of no value to me. If you were stuck in the Amazon and someone to give you a machete or a big bar of gold to survive, you would take the machete. There is none or very little intrinsic value in gold beyond a belief system. Yeah. And how much, for you environmentalists, how much mining will it take and degradation of the environment to mine all this gold that we need to back our currency? Again, nonsensical thinking. Time for people to think clear, and think correctly, and think what is going to free them. I am not an ego-based person, although we all have an ego. I am aware of that. But what I'm putting forward is the only solution at the present time. And people need to be really astute and think clearly where they're going with their solutions. Because I believe a lot of people are going to drown. Okay, thank you.